Hello everybody, welcome to the third weekend of the FIA ETRC Digital Championship. This is David Addison and this evening we are off to the Slovakia ring. It's been a mainstay of the real world truck racing championship for many seasons. Last year there were reverse grid wins for Antonio Albacete and also for Sasha Lentz, and they are both within the entry for the two races that we have coming up this evening. Can anybody, though, beat Norbert Kish? He has been just outstanding. 2 pole positions set through the Super Pole qualifying sessions and 4 race wins. Doesn't matter whether it's from pole or from 8th on the reverse grid. Norbert Kish has just been unstoppable so far this season. Pressure is on the others because not only do they want to win, they also want to try and stop him pulling away in the championship, in the title race itself. Well, we'll find out this evening whether anybody can stop Norbert Kish. Qualifying is already underway. The trucks are on track. Let's go and catch up if we can with what's going on, because it's that man Kish that's been the quickest thus far, from Sasha Lentz and then Teo Calve. Currently running as third fastest. Teo Calve, who in the last 10 days or so passed his HGV test. So not only can he race a truck, he is now able to go and drive one on the road as well. And Teo Calve is going to be a man to watch, of course, as ever in the 2 races here. So too, Jonathan Andre. Now, he's the team manager for the Lahn truck racing team because Anthony Janiek is busy running his kart centre now that the real world is opening up a little bit in different parts of the world. So Anthony Janiek is busy doing that, but to fulfill the entry, his team manager, Jonathan Andre, will drive the Lahn truck racing entry, and he's actually doing a very good job as well within the qualifying session as it stands. Björn Teichhaus, who drove in the Mittelrhein Cup at the ADAC's German Truck Grand Prix last year, he takes over Irving Klein-Nagelvort's truck because the Dutchman has got to go back to a real job. He's got to go back to hauling and driving, so he can't take part. So the truck is in the hands of Björn Teichhaus for this evening. And then you've got Jose Eduardo Rodriguez back once more, and he's running in the top 6 in this qualifying session in anticipation of the first of the 2 races that we have coming up over the course of the evening. 2 25-minute races plus 1 lap. But as I say, the trucks are already out on track. Two beats. Now, the time that he has done is 2 minutes 42.660. So Norbert Kish in the MAN defecting from Tank Führung Zwanzig and Mercedes to a new team that he has created, and the MAN, in order to try and get back to his successful winning ways. Well, so far so good. Certainly in the virtual world, everything looks good. And as Norbert Kish here works his way up across the last few minutes of the session, let's see whether or not he is going to be able to go yet faster and push pole position out of everybody's reach. Well, he's 0.8 of a second up right now on Sasha Lentz, so the gap is down a little, but even so, Norbert Kish from pole position, a dangerous combination really as far as the opposition is concerned, because he's just been so good over the course of the season itself. The Slovakia ring circuit, tight, twisty. It's got this wriggling infield section. There is a fast element to it, but largely you're always working. Number 30 is under investigation, we understand, from race control, that being Sasha Lentz. So Sasha potentially is in hot water already for doing something that he shouldn't. And in the last 3 minutes or so of the session, there is Norbert Kish rumbling his way down towards the Sasha Lentz, 0.8 of a second adrift as far as the session is concerned. The track itself, 14 turns, and it's a long pit straight down to a long right, then a long fast section through the fast right of turn 2. But once you get up to turn 3, then you're into this almost paperclip style infield. Norbert Kish goes across the line, and a 2:42.660 keeps him ahead of Sasha Lentz. But there, Jonathan Andre up to third. Now, Anthony Janiek has done a really good job in that rig thus far. It's the MAN, the yellow MAN of the Lahn truck racing team. But Jonathan Andre, the team manager, having his first outing in the virtual truck racing world, looks to be taking the job to the opposition here. It's good effort that has been put in thus far, and as he gets a bit more seat time, don't rule him out. 4th fastest he was, 3rd fastest he now is, having just got up ahead of Teo Calve. So Teo Calvé down to 4th in the sideways Freightliner run by the Bugira team. How's his teammate doing, or teammates plural? Well, Adam Lachko is 9th and Alia Koloc in 11th, which I think I'm right in saying is what we have in terms of the entry, 11 trucks. We were going to have more, but Lucas Hahn was away testing at Most and hasn't been able to get back in time. We have got, though, how about this? Jamie Anderson, who went testing at Most, like many of them did in the week. He has stopped at Sasha Lentz's house on the way home. He's taken his sim rig with him, so they're sharing the internet costs here and racing from the same place, from the same room, but deadly rivals out on track. There is Teo Calvé then, new HGV licence in his proverbial pocket. His father Fabien, champion, administrator, and indeed the French commentator for the FIA ETRC. And Teo Calvé has had a pretty good season thus far. Yes, granted, he's not been a race winner, but he's had a 4th, a 3rd, and a couple of 2nd places. So the win is almost there, isn't it? It's within reach. He's knocking on the door of it, but he needs to qualify just a little bit better because the good results tended to have come in the reverse grid races. So there is Teo Calvé making the run over the brow down towards us in the last minute of this session. And just as we've had the battle between him and Anthony Janiac for top French driver, so it's between him and Jonathan Andre this evening. That is looking out of turn 14, through which in a moment we'll have Teo Calvé. He'll squeeze one more lap out of the session if he needs it. Rumbles his way underneath the gantry, breaks the beam, past the pits, and on that lap Teo Calvé no faster. I mentioned Sasha Lentz was being investigated. No further action, says race control. So that's all good. And there you see going through Sasha Lentz in the SL Truck Sport MAN. Sasha Lentz, winner here in real world racing, along with Antonio Albafetti last year. Now, Antonio is in the entry, but he's 6th fastest at the moment, needing to find a bit more time in his MAN. Antonio Albafetti for the T-Sport Bearnow team. Down the pit road comes the SL Truck Sport entry of Sasha Lentz, and there is Albafetti. So the checkered flag is out, and Antonio Albafetti will end 7th fastest in the end, 6th fastest in the end, 7th fastest in the end, yes, behind Rodriguez, just losing out at the very end. Bjorn Tyhouse has done a good job, actually, for somebody that we've not seen in the championship thus far, and the late addition, as it were, to the ranks, the Dutchman in Erwin Klein-Nagelvoort's rig, and coming out for 5th in the times. Good effort being put in that session. There is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who has drawn attention to himself for myriad reasons this year. Partly quick driver, but also because he has been in hot water with the officials for his driving standards and his propensity to ignore track limits. And so he's under strict observation this week. And he has thus far been impeccably behaved, we're glad to say. He is currently 5th fastest in the times. Is there going to be an improvement before the very end for him? I don't think there is. Looks like he's possibly just slacked out of this last lap. So Rodriguez chasing after Teo Calvé in the times. But Norbert Kish, Sasha Lentz, Jonathan Andre is the order. And there, round the back of the paddock, comes Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, sideways out of turn 11. Now you see what I mean about this paperclip style, and flinging it sideways, accelerating his way now over the brow. This is the short straight that takes you up towards turn 13, which loops you back round towards the kink onto the pit straight. So there is turn 13, but it looks as though pole position is going to go the way of Norbert Kish from Sasha Lentz on that front row of the grid. So the MANs are yet again the trucks to beat, looking at the top 3, because John all good to go. And very shortly, we'll be back on track with the first of our two races with Norbert Kish, of course, the man starting from pole position. Now, race control sends more messages, which suggests a warning for Norbert Kish, in fact. Now, that might have been for track limits. It may have been for driving standards, but track limits tends to be what gets people into hot water. So Norbert Kish will, at least the session is at an end now, have to keep his nose clean, but it won't affect, I don't think, the time that he has just set in order to take a third pole position in a row. Nobody else has come out of a qualifying session with the top time thus far. So Norbert Kish, the fastest from Sacha Lentz, Jonathan Andre, third, and Theo Calvé, fourth fastest. Fifth quickest, Jamie Anderson. And then sixth fastest, looking at lap times, Jamie Anderson. Sorry, not Jamie Anderson, I'll tell you a lie. Bjorn Tyhouse is next in the order, but that will just sort itself out before we get to the first of our two races, once the officials are happy with everything that's just unfolded throughout qualifying. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez will be worth watching. So too, Adam Lachko, still adapting really, as he said to us after the second weekend at Misano, to the art of sim racing. He's getting there. He's getting a little bit more confident in it. There are others, though, who have adapted to it very easily indeed. Norbert Kish, don't forget, before he went into real-world car racing and a multiple one-make saloon car champion, he was a sim racer. So he's going back to his roots in many ways, and he's got that good background as well of sim racing from many, many seasons past. Now, the Slovakia Ring circuit is always a popular venue, always gets not only big real-world crowds, but also some spectacular racing. Let's have a quick look at the Slovakia Ring circuit.
Welcome to Slovakia Ring.
The Slovakia Ring, around 6 kilometres in length, with 6 left and 5 right-hand corners, 1 chicane and 7 straights. The start-finish straight is 900 metres long and 20 metres wide. It's the third stop on this year's FIA European Truck Racing Championship calendar.
It has a very fast corners, which are quite difficult. I mean, the second corner is flat out, it's 160, but it's not an easy corner, you know. I mean, you make a small mistake and you are off and you are in very high speed.
There is always a lot of interest in racetracks, and this time many Slovakian fans came from the capital, Bratislava, which is around 40 kilometres away.
So that is the Slovakia Ring in the real world. Now we're about to see virtual racing on this popular circuit, and Norbert Kish starts very much as the favourite. What can he do to maintain this outstanding 100% record of pole position and a race win at every venue? This our third weekend of action. The next stop in just a week's time, just to think about the calendar, is the Nurburgring. Then we go to Most, to Zolder, to Le Mans. And mid-August, August the 16th, the virtual championship, the digital championship, will finish at Jarama. But of course, week by week by week, we get closer to unlocking real-world racing. And the real-world ETRC calendar, of course, worth keeping an eye to. The team's back out this week running, doing some testing at Most. And that, I think, has fired everybody up, looking forward to the start of real-world racing. But that's not to say that they're not taking this evening seriously. Certainly Norbert Kish means business, doesn't he? With yet another pole position. And he will line up then on the front row alongside Sacha Lentz. The second row, Jonathan Andre, the Lahn Truck Racing Team manager. And that's a very impressive debut. He's got Theo Calvé alongside him in the French contest. And then we have on the third row, Jamie Anderson, and then Bjorn Teichhaus. We'll come to the grid in a moment. First, though, let's head to the FIA ETRC Digital Showroom. Is the MAN driver for a new team this year, T-Sport Bernau. The Formula Ford champion. He has raced in Formula 3, Formula 3000, in Super touring cars for Opel, for BMW and for Alfa Romeo. He started off in track racing way back in 2003. Champion in 05, in 2006, 2010. Third 2 years ago, runner-up last year. And this new team, T-Sport Bernau, is a merger between Lutz Bernau's squad and the British T-Sport team. Antonio Albacete is another driver who's spent quite a bit of time practicing over the last few weeks for virtual track racing, digital track racing. And bit by bit, he's getting himself closer to the front of the grid. Let's see whether he is going to be a factor this evening. But certainly, I think Antonio Albacete, you discount at your peril, particularly when we get to the reverse grid race, because from there he's going to be a man to watch, no question about it. Number 2, Antonio Albacete. Working our way through the entry list, 15 is driven by Bjorn Teichhaus. Now, this is the truck of Irving Klein-Nagelvoort. Irving not able to race, so he hands it over to Bjorn for the purposes of this evening. Bjorn Teichhaus, who has raced in real-world track racing, limited amount, but he's done the ADAC Mittelrhein Cup, which is the mix of Dutch and German and British truck racers at the ADAC Truck Grand Prix. And he drove there last year. I think I'm right in saying he's also done stop-go competitions. Bjorn Teichhaus then starting 6th on the grid for race 1. Shane Brereton is another driver to keep an eye to, although Shane is a little bit further back on the grid. Shane came out of oval racing in the UK, saloon stock cars, national hot rods, then ASCAR, the series for NASCAR style cars that ran at Rockingham. He drove in the European equivalent, the late model stock car series. He's raced in pickups, but came into truck racing first in the British, then the European Championship back in 2016. He was a winner at Most in 2017, and indeed he won here in the Slovakia ring races 2 years ago. Shane Brereton in his MAN number 17. Now, no ETRC digital grid would be complete without the fleet of Bagheera Racing Freightliners. Teo Calve drives number 20. Teo, who, having passed his baccalaureate exams, dashed off to race in the ADAC Truck Grand Prix a couple of seasons ago. Son of organizer, racer, broadcaster, administrator Fabien Calve, and he began as a 16-year-old. He's a former motocrosser. He's also raced in the French Championship, being third in that 2 years ago. Now he's an HGV license holder, and as far as this championship is concerned, Teo Calve third behind Sasha Lentz and championship leader Norbert Kish. And the number 20, Bagheera Racing Run Freightliner. Now, what about Jamie Anderson, ex-rally driver from the British Rally Championship with a Ford Fiesta RS, came into track racing in 2017. Rally rival David Jenkins, part of a good track racing family, was the catalyst to get him involved, and he has merged his time between the BTRA, the FIA ETRC, and some British rallies as well. But the Anderson Racing MAN, well, Jamie's business is in the commercial vehicle world, so where better than to showcase the company than in European truck racing. And Jamie has been quick but a bit unlucky. He's 6th in the championship, equal with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez after the first 4 races. Number 23, Jamie Anderson in his MAN. Another second-generation racer, again, for the Bagheera Racing squad in the Freightliner is Alia Koloc. She began 16 years of age from karting and is due to race within the FIA ETRC this year. Trouble is, can't get racing just yet. So the Digital Championship is the focus of attention. Her father, Martin, is a European champion, and Alia Koloc has ended up on the front row for the 2 reverse grid races. Let's see then how she fares over the course of this evening. Number 29, the Bagheera Racing Freightliner with the pink mirrors. The pink back is that of Alia Koloc. Sasha Lentz is another second-generation racer, but Sasha himself started off in national events before moving to the FIA ETRC, fifth in the championship last year. Perennial underdog, real fan favourite, and bit by bit has been getting quicker and quicker and quicker. So the real world podiums became wins, and he really has been the nearest opposition to Norbert Kish all the way through these opening 4 races in the SL Truck Sport MAN number 30. But this is the truck that everybody has to stop somehow. The Revesh TRT MAN of Norbert Kish, the man who came from success on Sims to one-make saloon car success in the real world. Norbert Kish, the championship leader, Opel Astra racer, Hungarian Clio Cup champion, Seat champion, Suzuki champion, double FIA ETRC champion 2014-2015. And seemingly is going to be the first FIA ETRC digital champion, because the rest are struggling right now to combat Norbert Kish. He has 80 points in the championship to the 54 of Sasha Lentz. He's got a healthy championship lead already aboard number 40 MAN. 38 is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, third generation of the Rodriguez truck racers, and he has been fast and he's been feisty over the course of the season. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez then under observation this evening for his earlier driving standards, but if he keeps out of trouble, he's going to be one to watch, undoubtedly, because he's a fiery competitor and is certainly capable of running up near the front in the Robo Connaught MAN number 38. Adam Lachko, FIA European Truck Racing Champion in 2017, karter, saloon car racer, GT racer, Porsche racer, and moved to truck racing back in 2003. But he's been an experienced competitor over the last few seasons. As I say, the champion back in 2017. Now, it's fair to say that Adam has not yet really got his hat on with digital truck racing, but he's getting there. He's getting quicker all the time. And so Adam Lachko, I think, will make another step forward this evening in the number 55 Bagheera. So that's a look at who's who, the majority of the field. And of course, add to that the likes of Jonathan Andre with the Lahn Truck Racing MAN. There is also the addition of, for tonight, Bjorn Tahaus for Erwin Klein-Nagelvort's squad. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top once we get going, but Norbert Kish has to start as the favourite. Very shortly, once everybody is ready, they've had the 5-minute signal, the drivers will go to the grid. Effectively, what that means is they'll log onto the server, and as they do so, the trucks will appear on the graphics, pinging their way onto the grid. We will have, before all of that, of course, the Mercedes pace truck, the Mercedes Actros, the official pace truck that will lead them round on the formation lap. And before all of that, the official truck, the Ford X-Max, will do its lap before we get the first of our 2 Slovakia races underway. It's another interesting jumbled grid. We've had some spectacular racing thus far, but through it all, Norbert Kish has just kept on scoring the points, whether it's from pole position or whether it's from 8th on the grid in those reverse grid races. He's just looked mighty thus far. So is it going to be a battle for second place? Are we going to see Sasha Lentz versus Jonathan Andre and Theo Calvé all squabbling over second? Or can they take the battle to Norbert Kish, the race leader? We will find out shortly then when the trucks start to make their way off on that formation lap. This the 5th race of the season within the FIA ETRC digital competition, and Norbert Kish doing an outstanding job thus far. The drivers, I can see, are getting themselves ready. They are connecting to the servers, and that means that the grid is starting to form. When everybody is there, then we should be good for our formation laps. And then this first of our 2 races will be good to go. It's going to be Norbert Kish from pole position, and with him at the front of the grid, Sasha Lentz. Now, remember that Sasha's season has been good, but not as good as that of Norbert Kish. If you look at the race results that Sasha has had, second, third, mirror images from the Hungaroring and Misano race results. Well, Norbert Kish has been mirroring that first. So Sasha and Theo Calvé have been the main opposition to Norbert Kish over the previous races. What can they do to stop him here? the Slovakia ring with that long, fast pit straight, long, fast sweep round turn 1, turn 2, and then heavy braking at the end of that section into turn 3, and the fiddly infield section to really focus the driver's attention. And it won't be long before we'll find out who is going to come out on top over that first run into turn 3 once we get race 1 underway. 25 minutes plus the lap. Just to remind you why that is, the platform on which the FIA ETRC Digital works has to incorporate the pace lap as, if you like, a lap within the duration. So that's balanced by putting a lap on at the end. The pace truck, the Mercedes Actros truck, is not built into the game. It has a real-world driver who does that one lap, just as the pace truck driver in the real world does the lap, and then peels into the pit lane ready to get the rolling start underway. So as the drivers get themselves ready, we should have 11 for the grid, and Antonio Albacete for T-Sport Burnout, taking on Jonathan Andre, Bjorn Tarhaus, Shane Brereton, Tia Calve et al. And very shortly they will all be released on to the grid. So first of all, we can catch up with the build-up to our first of 2 races, the Ford F-Max lap. The official truck of the FIA ETRC Digital is set to get underway.
Start your engines. FIA ETRC is ready to race.
Calve get back onto terms with Jonathan Andre. He's also got, don't forget, Bjorn Tyrhouse not that far behind in that 6th spot as they accelerate their way now towards us once more. Calve, you get the feeling, made a tiny error rather than losing pace because he's staying with Andre. He and Janiak have been evenly matched this year. Put a different driver into the Lion Track Racing MAN. There's no real difference. They are still together on track. So Norbert Kish holds sway. Through they turn once more with their look, the leading MAN just starting to edge away ever so slightly. Theo Calve down in that 5th place now. What can he do about Jonathan Andre? What can Andre do about Rodriguez? Ideally, they'd like to work together, I suspect, here and see if they can get one of them on the podium. But Bjorn Tyrhouse, who is throwing the Scania around in great style in that 6th spot, is not that far behind. Now, it might be his only outing in the championship. He's nothing to lose here. He's throwing everything at this as they come across the timing line once more. And there, look, Calve closing up onto the back of Jonathan Andre as they break for turn 1. So Norbert Kish currently is the race leader. The advantage when he crossed the line was 1.7 seconds. Lentz is in 2nd place. Rodriguez 3rd, 4th, Andre 5th, Calve. And then for 6th spot, Tyrhouse. And you can see the gap between the leading sextet and Adam Lachko, who's got himself back ahead of Shane Britt. And 7th and 8th they are. Antonio Albacete, who was badly delayed on the opening lap, is 9th. Jamie Anderson, who was badly delayed on the opening lap, is 10th. Alia Koloc, who we saw going off into the gravel, down in 11th place. And 12th truck, as it says on that leaderboard graphic, is of course the pace truck that's in the pit lane. Don't think we've lost anybody. There, way out wide goes Calve. Understeer is going to cost him a length or so against Jonathan Andre. Look back though now. That was Calve's rear view at Tyrhouse. This is the front view. Jonathan Andre just up the road ahead of him. Calve braking hard. And again, washing out wide, needs to find the clipping point for the corner. It's another hairpin, effectively, tight right-hander. Back onto the power now. The gaps don't look that big, but of course, when you're governed to a maximum of 100 miles an hour, even though the acceleration is good, you need to keep momentum up all the time. It's not that easy to suddenly bring down a gap, unless somebody makes a mistake in front of you. So Calve here, turns with a left-hander. Back onto the power now, speed building, over the brow. Brakes hard, sharp left here. Through turn 11, that S opening up, but you've got to be careful not to get the power down too soon, or indeed brake too late coming into turn 10, because that compromises the whole run. And especially with that almost Zolder-esque chicane and then a climb, you don't want to lose momentum. Over the brow they have come then. Down the back straight, heading into turn 13. Stand on the anchors. Brake as late as you dare. Turning and then braking. And again, Calve fighting this bonneted truck. Back trying to step out of line all the time. Back onto the power. Goodyear rubber, of course, on which they run in the virtual and real world championship. And then power their way out of the kink over the line, past the impressive pit complex. Down towards turn 1. And right now, Joshua Lentz a fraction closer. A second and a half, the advantage when they went over the line. Up to 1.6 at the first timing point of the lap. But as they accelerate their way towards us, Lentz is certainly not giving up here. There he is in 2nd spot. And definitely getting away from Rodriguez, who is definitely being caught now by Jonathan Andre. So that's another gap coming down and down and down. So for 3rd place, it's going to be 2, possibly 3. No, Calve's fallen away too much. So certainly it's the MANs. Rodriguez versus Andre for 3rd and 4th places. Slightly surprised that Calve is running better than this. The Freightliner there goes past us, but the almost historic class Scania in the hands of Bjorn Tyrhouse is not that far behind. The rig that we saw Erling Klein-Nagelvoort drive at the start of the season. Erling Klein-Nagelvoort having to go back to real-world duties now. So he is taking over the truck. There is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, part of the 3-generation strong dynasty in track racing. But he's going to have to look to his laurels in a minute, isn't he? Because there, Jonathan Andre is closing all the time. 10.5 minutes plus the lap still to run. There, going past is Rodriguez. Janiek is next in the queue. I don't mean Janiek, I mean Janiek's rig in the hands of Jonathan Andre, forgive me. Andre has made an impressive debut thus far, and he might yet get himself on the podium, because the way that he's closing up onto the tail of Rodriguez here suggests that he's got the pace. He's also applying the pressure. So there you've got Rodriguez going through. And all the time, these two for 3rd and for 4th places, squabbling amongst themselves. That means they're losing touch slightly with Sascha Lentz in 2nd place. Lentz was 11 tenths only, now 12 tenths back from Kish, which means it's come down from the start of the lap. So don't rule out a challenge being made here by Sascha Lentz. It might be Norbert Kish just toying with Sascha Lentz, but as they come over the line, Lentz does have a chance, that's for sure. Through they go. There's Rodriguez in that 3rd place. Jonathan Andre in 4th as they head down towards turn 1. Is Andre close enough to have a go? Don't think he is. Not there, but not for the want of trying. 9 minutes on the clock. Rodriguez deeper into the corner, but then takes a tighter line, cuts across, doesn't he? Throws it in. Andre perhaps was smoother in, but he's more sideways on the way out, so that's going to balance pretty much. Calvé still there in 5th place. House is 6th, 7th is Lachko, 8th Alberthetti, 9th Anderson. Now don't forget that it's the top 8 you reverse for the race 2 grid, so Antonio Alberthetti and Adam Lachko possibly for the front row of the grid. There was hope that we were going to get Lucas Hahn in the entry this evening. Lucas, the son of reigning and indeed multiple European champion Jochen Hahn, but he's not made it back from Most in time. So the other teams were happy to have him take part, but he hasn't got back, still travelling back from the Czech Republic. So hopefully he'll be out next time in the FIA ETRC Digital Championship. But the name Hahn on any grid always strikes fear into the heart of the opposition. If it's father and son in the Real World Championship this year, that's going to be quite formidable. There, wide, is Rodriguez. Andre snapping at his heels. Can he get the tighter inside line here? Look, as they come towards us, well, he has a think, he has a look, but he can't quite muscle up alongside Rodriguez, who hangs on to the place, but you can see that Jonathan Andre is really going for it. Behind them, in that 5th place, is Theo Calvé, and Rodriguez again drifts out wide. The pressure is starting to tell here a little bit. He's got the pace, yes, he's still got the place, yes, but certainly he's being given a hard time by, there behind him, number 6, Jonathan Andre. Andre brakes late. Doesn't get into the back, thankfully, of Rodriguez and therefore create contact. Sascha Lentz, I'm tempted to say, is having his best drive yet here in terms of staying with Norbert Kish for a longer period of time. Okay, he might not be yet challenging for the race lead, but he's not fallen away. Norbert Kish hasn't run off into the distance here. So Sascha Lentz there trying to close again as they head up towards turn 13. There's lots of drama in the background going into the chicane, which I think was Adam Lachko and Antonio Alberthetti and Jamie Anderson all getting themselves together. And if that sorts itself out, it could be a different driver on pole position. So we'll check back in a moment for 7th, 8th and 9th. Here, though, is 3rd and 4th. Rodriguez versus Andre as they come now up towards the line. Theo Calvé goes through as well. 3rd over the line. That's Rodriguez. Andre 4th and 5th through is Calvé, who for some reason just does not seem to have the pace here. He lost that place early on to Andre and hasn't really been able to not only get it back, but nor stay on the tail of his fellow countrymen ahead of him. So Lentz goes through. There is Rodriguez, Andre And then charging on behind is Teo Calve. To the eye, he might be just a little closer, Teo Calve, but I think it's perhaps too little. 6 minutes are on the clock, plus the lap. Over the brow goes Calve, and then you stand on the anchors, turn onto the infield. Well, there's the lead battle. Norbert Kish with the margin hovering at around a second from Sascha Lentz. The SL Trucksport entry chases on behind Norbert Kish, but with 5 minutes and change, plus a lap to go, can he get close enough to make a move? Don't forget that if things stay as they are, these two are going to be coming up as they have done in previous reverse grid races from the 4th row. You take the top 8 and reverse it for race 2. We'll have a quick break between the races for race control to analyse any incidents, and that in turn, of course, might affect penalties and therefore the grid going into race 2. So there'll be that interval between the races. And over the brow, there goes the race leader. Norbert Kish up the road. You were looking out of the front of the Sascha Lentz truck. And there is Sascha Lentz, number 30, into the chicane, turns 10, 11 and 12. Jonathan Andre, in the meantime, is right back onto the tail of Rodriguez here, who goes a little deeper into the corner. Now, does that compromise the run through 11 and therefore through 12, and does it give renewed hope to Jonathan Andre? The two of them together here. Over the brow, they come. Shane Brereton and Jamie Anderson getting themselves together there. Look, and Anderson is the one that comes off worst, off into the beach, into the gravel. So Jamie Anderson, who had got himself up into 8th place, is not in 8th place anymore, and that potentially means that he's going to drop away from benefiting on that reverse grid. And there is a 5-second penalty being given to Teo Calve. So that is for contact with Jamie Anderson on lap 1. So Teo Calve gets a 5-second penalty. Is that going to drop him a place in the race? Where is Bjorn Tiehaus in the background? It's going to be close, isn't it, between those two? It's 4 seconds at the moment. So Teo Calve goes through, but if the penalty is applied, then he's going to fall back a place. He'll be benefited, of course, on the reverse grid, but he'll lose points for places within the championship. 3.5 minutes plus a lap. What's the lead gap? It's under a second, in fact, as they went over the timing line. It's just crept up a little bit in the next sector point, but Sascha Lentz is throwing everything at this. There's the fight for third that is not resolved either. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez keeping Jonathan Andre at bay. Andre in 4th gear, speed building all the time now up to 160 kilometres an hour. They're governed at 100 miles an hour, remember? And then you stand on the brakes, and Andre has a look to the inside. Now that was more in hope than in anticipation, I think. He tried to unsettle Rodriguez, didn't work. Shane Brereton, after that contretemps with Jamie Anderson, has dropped back a spot, then gains it again on the next timing point ahead of Alien Koloc. Antonio Albafetti, though, is 8th. That's pole for the second race. And Koloc and Brereton are trading 9th and 10th places now. Right, Andre, can he find a way past Rodriguez for the virtual podium at the end of race 1? He can't do much more other than punt him out of the way here, and this could be the moment where Rodriguez cracks under pressure because he was way wide through turn 11. That's going to compromise him into the next corner. Look, and he's all crossed up here. He's going to go out wide, and Jonathan Andre will seize the opportunity. Job should be done. Yes, he's got the line on the inside line. Here they come towards us, and finally Jonathan Andre goes through, but now he carries the speed. He's going to go wide, and Rodriguez tries to nibble up the inside, rides the curve, but he couldn't go through. Brake hard. Turn now into turn 10. Here the engine note disappear virtually as they have to be so careful with the power, almost coast through the chicane and only now really get back onto the loud pedal. So Jonathan Andre comes over the brow. Is it all too little, too late as far as gaining any other places out of this opening race are concerned? Let's see. So Jonathan Andre with a minute and a bit plus the regulation lap at the end comes through, lapping in the 2:43 at the moment. So we're going to get 2 more laps out of the race and over the line there'll be this, and then the regulation lap at the end. Looking back from this man, Antonio Albafetti, he's on target now for 8th, which is pole for race 2. And Adam Lachko is ahead of him. And Albafetti almost into the back of him, look, as they come now through turn 13. Absolutely together, these two. Antonio Albafetti tries to pry the door open. It's strange to talk about European champions struggling in sim racing and being down in 7th and 8th places, but that's where they are. Lachko and Albafetti, nose to tail, over the timing line now. And off the road, Adam Lachko back on again. I think that was a netcode problem he had, so he's still there, still in the race. Adam Lachko now goes down towards turn 1, and he's got Albafetti on his tail. Look, Albafetti brakes late, scrabbles into the corner. Come on, Adam, he says, gives him the hurry up, gets into the back of him. So this is the dispute for the front row for race 2, depending on who's going to be on the inside or the outside. Norbert Kish still the race leader, and he's just starting to extend the advantage once again over Sascha Lentz. There is Kish. So through comes Norbert Kish, and there will be one more lap at the end of this, but Sascha Lentz looking even closer. The gap was a second, now it's down to 7/10. Now, is this Norbert Kish making a race of it, giving hope to Sascha Lentz, or is he genuinely not quite the runaway victor that he's become used to being? Because certainly Lentz is taking the battle to him. Sascha Lentz then almost on the back of Kish here, look, as they come over the brow into turn 11. And then they'll ride the brow down towards us once more at turn 13. But as you look into the distance, Norbert Kish just slightly better, it seems, coming through that section of the circuit. And now accelerates clear once again. The Albafetti Jamie Anderson incident is also being looked at by race control. So you understand why we have the break between the races, to make sure that everything is as it should be, because right now there's quite a lot to be looked at post-race. Here they come towards us then with one more lap to run. Norbert Kish looking as though it's going to be another race win for him as he heads now up towards the timing line, ready to start the last lap here at the Slovakia ring. .160 kilometres an hour, just creeping up to 161, but really he can do no more with the top speed governor on these trucks. Can't go any quicker. Break into turn 1 now, and Sascha Lentz close behind, and then drops back just a little bit. We're on the last lap, race control confirms, and as the trucks now sprint towards us, Norbert Kish looks to try to build that gap on this last lap of the race. Kish on the power. Sascha Lentz 9/10 of a second back. Now where are we in relation to Calvé and Tauhaus? I think the 5 seconds is going to put Theo Calvé behind Bjorn Tauhaus at the end of this race. So 5-second penalty for Calvé for contact on the opening lap of the race, and it's going to cost him a position, it's going to cost him points here. So there through is Kish and Lentz. The gap to the eye is less, but it's been elasticated all the way through this race, and there's just been no opportunity really for Sascha Lentz to get close enough to mount a challenge. But the reverse grid is going to be, as ever, fascinating. It's going to be elbows out. Here they come. Still running towards us with Lentz close, but then he gets the power down and the back just starts to sprint out a little bit. Lachko goes ahead of Albafetti. The recovering Jamie Anderson is in all of this as well. And this, don't forget, 7th, 8th, 9th has a huge impact on race 2, because in the mix of all of this is pole for the second race. Lachko on the inside line. Anderson tries to get up alongside Antonio Albafetti. They lean on each other. They almost merge, but Jamie Anderson is going to go through, is he? Yeah, but he's on the wrong line for the next corner. So Antonio Albafetti goes through on the inside line, retakes 8th, retakes pole for the reverse grid race. So there, Adam Lachko hangs on to position, but only just. And behind, it's Albafetti, just clear of Jamie Anderson, but that's not done and dusted just yet. Meantime, Norbert Kish is almost done to make it 5 wins from 5 races in the FIA ETRC Digital. He's making his way now up towards turn 13. Sasha Lentz, well, he's close, but he's not going to get close enough unless Norbert Kish has a big, big problem here. Sasha Lentz set for second position, but Norbert Kish is going to make it 5 out of 5. 2 wins in Hungary, 2 wins in Italy, and he will win the first race at the Slovakia ring. Checker flag is ready, and Norbert Kish comes across the line then to win race 1 here, with Sasha Lentz taking second. Third across the line is going to be Jonathan Andre. Norbert Kish starts to celebrate. Fourth is going to be Rodriguez, and then fifth it is on the road, Calve, but Tiehouse will take that on corrected time. So Bjorn Tiehouse, 5th and 6th is Theo Calve because of the penalty. That, I think I'm right in saying, is Theo's worst results of the season. Yes, 4th was previously his worst, but 6th because of the penalty drops him down the order. So now there is the time for any protests to be heard, but still we've got the rest of the pack to come through. So 7th place, Adam Lachko, and who takes 8th? It's going to be Albafetti on the line. So that will be Antonio Albafetti for pole position for our second race. 9th going the way of Jamie Anderson. There for 10th, Shane Brereton. 11th will be there, Alia Koloc coming through now in the 3rd of the Freightliners. So Alia Koloc goes through, and as I say, that penalty applied to Theo Calve will drop him 1 place down the order. So good stuff, some good racing as we expected, some good battling. And who are the standouts? Well, on the one hand, Norbert Kish. I suppose you could also give mention to Jonathan Andre, because first time out in the championship, and also Bjorn Tiehouse, his first outing, and in, I know it's a sim race, I know it's digital, but even so, that Scania is a venerable old beast. It's not normally one of the quickest. So great job done by Norbert Kish, victorious once more. So Norbert Kish victorious, and by, in the end, only 0.4 of a second. It was a relatively narrow margin. We'll find out in a moment, maybe, whether he was toying with the opposition or whether that was genuinely as quick as he could go. But it's a narrow winning margin. Norbert Kish has been much more dominant over the course of previous races. Norbert, we meet again. Getting bored of talking to me, I suppose, after all these wins. But well done. Tremendous job. Great win. 5 in a row. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, this time, the winning margin that you had was only 0.4 of a second. Was that you driving within yourself, or does that suggest the opposition is getting quicker and getting closer?
Yeah, for sure, everybody's getting quicker and they are getting closer. And you could see in the qualifying, it was also a lot tighter. And yeah, Sasha is doing really well. And yeah, you know, okay, maybe I could have gone, you know, a little bit faster, you know, but I wanted to take it safe, you know, because there is usually a lot of penalties for track limits and everything, you know, so I was just taking care of being inside the white line, you know.
This looks like a really interesting circuit, whether it's for a car or indeed for a truck. You know, you've got some really fast bits, and then that infield, it's so tight and twisty. What's it like for a driver?
Yeah, Slovakia ring is a really special circuit, you know, a lot of fast turns, which is like almost flat out, but not really flat out. So that's hard on the front tires really much. So you have to take care of that in the fast sections. And yeah, the slow hairpins, you know, and then the S's is like really technical, and it's quite hard to get the line right and to find the traction, you know, so that the rear don't step out on you when you try to accelerate out of these hairpins, and when you make the S's, it's really difficult. Yeah. So you have to be a little bit of a traction control yourself, you know, with your foot.
I was going to say, it seems you have to be really patient, knowing exactly when to nail the throttle, when to really go for it and accelerate out of certainly that 10, 11, 12 hairpin S's sequence.
Sorry, I couldn't understand.
You have to be patient with the power, knowing when to accelerate out of that section of corners.
Oh yeah, of course. It's one of the most important things is to, you know, to find the traction that your tires have on the rear axle, so that you have, you know, a good exit, not too careful, you know, because then you are slow, but also not to go sideways, because drifting is also looks good, looks nice, especially, you know, with such a big machine. Drifting looks.
So now you've got to do this from 8th on the grid. Is another win possible?
Hallo? Hallo? Ja.
Get themselves maybe a drink, and equally the team in race control will have a chance to go through all of the data, all of the incidents that might need reviewing after that opening race, and then we'll have a grid for race 2, which should have Antonio Albafetti on pole position, of course, by being 8th in the opener. So the semi-reverse grid should put him up to pole position going into the second race of the evening. But Norbert Kish from 8th. What about Theo Calve for race 2 honours, starting on the second row? Okay, he's lost out because of the penalty, but it actually helps him for the second race, moves him up the grid just a little bit. If he can get through that front row and maybe get away because he's got good pace, well, he could be another driver to watch as well. Race 2 will be another 25-minute race, plus the regulation lap at the end. And it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. But you've got to say that Norbert Kish probably is going to be that man once more, having been so impressive in the opening race. So Norbert Kish is the winner yet again. So that's 5 out of 5 for the Hungarian. Second place, yet again, Sasha Lentz. So mirroring what he's been doing really in the first races of each of our ETRC digital rounds thus far. In other words, a second place in race 1 of the previous 2 meetings mirrored here. But Jonathan Andre, third, first time out in the championship and doing a very impressive job indeed in the LAN Track Racing MAN to take a podium finish. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez then takes 4th. Another good effort for Rodriguez, especially bear in mind that he started on the 4th row of the grid. Now, okay, he benefited maybe a little bit on that opening lap with all sorts of dramas going on around him. But even so, a good run by Rodriguez, and elevated to 5th because of the Theo Calve penalty. Bjorn Teichhaus, first time out in the championship for him. And Theo Calve coming through for 6th position. That penalty costing him 5 seconds, and because Teichhaus was within that, so you switch the two around for the purposes of the results. 7th, Adam Lachko then, so he's going to be on the front row of the grid going into race 2, but Adam's still struggling for pace seemingly against the likes of Norbert Kish, Sasha Lentz and others. And so too, the man that was going to be 8th in race 1 and therefore pole position for race 2, that is Antonio Albafetti, and he will start on the front row as he did in Misano, hoping for better fortune. And then you've got those that miss the cut, that don't benefit from the reverse grid. Jamie Anderson will start 9th, frustration for him. Shane Brereton 10th, and Alia Koloc will be 11th on our race 2 grid. So that is therefore the classification provisionally at the end of race 1, and barring any further penalties that need addressing, because there are 1 or 2 investigations that will go on in the next 10-15 minutes or so, that should be the grid pretty much based on those results for our second race of the evening. But again, Norbert Kish looking so strong. What can they do to stop him in the second race of the evening? So, looking to see if we have any further drivers to join us in the streaming room. The answer for the moment is no. So, I think what we shall do is look forward to the second race, catch our breath. We'll let race control look at any further incidents. We'll have a quick break here and make sure you don't go far. Ready for the action, the reverse grid action for race 2 here from the Slovakia ring in the FIA ETRC Digital.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tire life. And FuelMax Gen 2. Exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tires you can rely on. Tires that are more innovative, more advanced.
Welcome back to the FIA ETRC Digital Championship. Race 2 from the Slovakia ring coming up. It's the ever dramatic reverse grid race. Top 8 finishers in race 1 are reversed. So it means that the race 1 winner, Norbert Kisch, will start 8th. And alongside him will be Sascha Lentz, who has been his biggest rival all through the championship. And Sascha joins us for a quick interview before we get the second race underway. Sascha, another second place in race 1, but you were very close to Norbert at the end, a small gap between you.
Yeah, I think it was a really nice race, and I have fun, and that's the point. What we just make it, and yeah, I hope we have a nice race in race 2 in Slovakia, and then it's everything fine.
Is the Slovakia ring circuit a track that you enjoy racing at? It looks a technical track.
No, I think it's a very technical circuit, and you can win much time on the brake and you lose on the exit, and it's really difficult what to make it. When we see in the race, I drive a little bit faster in the corner with Nobby, but Nobby win on the traction and the place back, and yeah, was nice.
Excellent. Sasha, good luck for race 2.
Thanks.
So Sasha Lentz will start on the 4th row of the grid in the SL Truck Sport MAN. And as I say, he's been the main thorn in the side of Norbert Kish. Now, Teo Calve joins us in the English streaming channel for a moment or two. Teo, first of all, well done, because you're now an HGV license holder. You passed your truck driving test in the last few days, didn't you?
Yes, it's true. Now I have my license, so I can drive a truck under 21.
Okay, that's the good news. The bad news is race 1 didn't really go your way here at the Digital Slovakia Ring, did it?
Yes. I didn't put my setup, so I can. That was difficult for me to race well, but it's okay. For the second race, I'm 3rd on the grid, so I think I can play something.
Well, yeah, because ahead of you, Antonio and Adam, who have not been as quick as you in previous races, so you must be pretty optimistic. You have a good chance maybe of a win here.
Yes, I hope.
We'll see. Teo, good luck. Well done on the race
Thank
1
you.
and indeed on the HGV test. So congratulations, Teo Calve. He's now a fully fledged real-world truck driver as well as truck racer, and he will make his way to the grid where he will start on the 2nd row. Now, okay, he got a penalty in race 1 as well because there was a little bit of pushing. That dropped him a place, but it does put him on the inside going down towards turn 1. And shortly then we'll be ready to go as the 11 drivers that we have, including a couple of newcomers, namely Jonathan Andre, who was 3rd in the opener, and Bjorn Teichhaus, who was 5th in the first race, benefiting from Teo Calve's penalty. They will be on track, of course, and 25 minutes plus the regulation lap is the journey ahead of them. And the key question, can anybody stop Norbert Kish? He has just been so good over the course of previous races. Well, is there going to be any chance whatsoever of defeating him this evening? Question mark. We'll find out very shortly then when the trucks take to the circuit. Before all of which, of course, there is the traditional pace lap from the Mercedes Actros, the official pace truck of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And we will also have the Ford F-Max lap as well. It's the official truck of the championship. So we have those laps to come. And then we've also got, of course, the pace lap to get underway, and then we'll be in business for 25 minutes of racing. Antonio Alberthetti then, despite an incident being investigated that was between him and Alia Koloc, he will be the man on pole position. With him at the front of the grid, Adam Lachko, and you've got 2 European champions there, admittedly 2 drivers that are still feeling their way in the sim racing world. They will go head-to-head from the front row of the grid. The 2nd row of the grid, Teo Calve, in the 2nd, indeed, of the Freightliners run by the Bagheera Racing team, teammate to Adam Lachko, just 1 row ahead of him on that grid. And he will line up alongside Bjorn Teichhaus in Irving Klein-Nagelvort Scania. He drives it because Irving Klein-Nagelvort is now rather busy running his business as the real world is opening up. So there are more pressures on some of our drivers, possibly in a good way, really. He's got to concentrate now on running his business and getting his fleet of trucks all over Europe. Likewise, Anthony Janiak has got his kart centre back open, so he's got to go and run that. But he puts Jonathan Andre into his truck for this evening. So that's the front 2 rows of the grid, Alberthetti, Lachko, Calve and Teichhaus. Then you've got Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, who raced well. He will start on the...
ETRC is ready to race.
So into the pit lane returns the Ford F-Max, the official truck of the FIA ETRC and FIA ETRC Digital. There is the pace truck then, which is the Mercedes Actros. And when Rolf Werner, the clerk of the course, is happy, he will give the signal for that to leave the line. And then we will be almost ready to go racing. 25 minutes plus the regulation lap here at the Slovakia ring. So the red lights go on and the lights are extinguished. Then the pace truck will blast away. Everybody sets off in pursuit. And as the rings rumble their way down that very long, very wide pit straight, Norbert Kish, remember, is the man starting 8th on the grid. Is he going to be able to come out on top yet again? Good at the championship, you kind of hope somebody's there to defeat him, but Norby has been the class act all season, so he's the benchmark by which everybody else is being measured. Front row then, Antonio Albacete, 3 times a European champion. Alongside him, Adam Lachko, 1-time European champion. Second row of the grid, Theo Calvé, began as a teenager, and he is very much a potential winner if he keeps out of trouble on the first couple of corners. And alongside him is Bjorn Teichhaus, who's having a great night in the Irving Klein Nagelvort Scania. Third row of the grid, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. He also is a potential podium finisher. And Jonathan Andre, who is going to be alongside him, has raced well on his ETRC digital debut as well. And then you've got the big two, Sascha Lentz lining up alongside Norbert Kish. And let's find out whether Sascha Lentz is going to be able to keep Norbert at bay. He's showed good pace in the opener. Then those that missed out on the reverse grid come next. Jamie Anderson lining up alongside Shane Brereton. There they are indeed as you look from the last rig on the grid, Alia Koloc. So Antonio Albacete, the man on pole position, he has had a 4th as his best result of the season. Adam Lachko alongside him has had a couple of 6ths. Pace truck's way sideways, so that's pressing on, no argument about it, as the field now turns its way through the infield. So you get to turn 3 and you do a bit of a wriggle, and then you get to turn 8 that kind of mirrors turn 3 because it's an even tighter hairpin on the infield, and then speed builds a little bit coming through turn 9, but the hairpin at turn 10 can catch you out with the chicane straight after. So can Albacete steal the march on Lachko, and can Calvé get himself into the lead? If he can, I suspect Theo Calvé has a chance of getting ahead and building the lead while the rest are fighting, especially the likes of Kish and Lentz through the traffic. But as we know from the opening lap of any reverse grid track race, it can all kick off at the opening corner. Everything can look very different. So through the infield of the Slovakia ring they come. That's out of turn 9. Making the run towards us here. And there is the pace truck with Albacete and Lachko ready to race. Come over the brow. They'll get themselves a course in the side-by-side Noah's Ark formation once they've come here through turn 10. And then over that brow at the end of the S sequence of corners with, and you see the clock ticking on down, quite a chunk of time lost on the pace lap, but a flying lap is over 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's not a short lap, it is a good long lap round the Slovakia ring. And as Norbert Kish said after race one, fast bits, technical bits, it's a good circuit, the drivers like it. But that last sequence they've just gone through, you've got to be so patient with the power, otherwise it all unravels very quickly indeed. There's Antonio Albacete then. He makes the run up towards us. The pole position driver with Adam Lachko alongside. Theo Calve starting on the second row, Norbert Kish on the fourth row. So let's see who's going to come out on top of our second stanza of the evening. There's Antonio Albacete. Squirt of acceleration. Adam Lachko parries that, gets back up alongside him. There's Theo Calve then. So of the Freightliners, it's the one with the blue mirrors, which is Calve. Pink mirrors for Alia Koloc, and the yellow markings seat at the rear of the truck as well as on the mirrors there for Adam Lachko. So out of turn 14 they will come. Pace truck peels in. We are ready to go racing. It's race 2 in the FIA ETRC Digital from Slovakia ring. Green flag, we are racing, and it's a good start by Lachko, not quite so good by Albacete, and Calve tries to get through the middle. It's brave stuff this, but there's the width of the road to do it as they dive down to turn 1. Can Calve get the advantage? Lachko just ahead of him on the outside line is Tiehouse, and Albacete is going to lead, and Rodriguez on the inside line. There's drama, Calve goes around, Anderson is off the road, and Theo Calve's chances disappear at turn 1, and that's Kish off the road. Norbert Kish in the gravel bed as well. So big drama. It's taken Theo Calve out of the leading gaggle, but significantly Norbert Kish has gone as well, and it's really broken up the traffic as Albacete leads from Tiehouse, getting a tap in the tail, and Shane Brereton, who started 10th, is 3rd, and he's nearly 2nd. He's on the grass, he's back on the road, he's into the side of Tiehouse, he's having a big slide, and that involves Albacete as well, and Brereton's going to hit Albacete, boom, straight into the side of him. If you can survive a lap, you might win the race. And it means Adam Lachko is in the lead. Tiehouse is 2nd, Rodriguez is 3rd, and a red flag is being shown. A red flag is being shown. So the race stopped. Our second reverse grid race in a row with a red flag. And that, I suspect, is because of all the mayhem that went on at turn 1 and again at turn 3. But a red flag is being shown by the race control team. And here is what happened to Tiehouse. He did the squeeze on Brereton, who was not to be squeezed, but that meant that a huge tank slap of Tiehouse got into the side of Albacete. Then Brereton got on the grass, couldn't stop, and bang! Smashes Albacete off the road. Nothing Antonio could have done about that. He turned in, took his line for the corner, and it was a big impact between the two. And so we will have a red flag, and we'll go again as soon as is possible. Now, it is going to be obviously a few minutes of a delay before we get everything regridded. The officials may well want to look at some of the evidence of that and have a word with one or two of the drivers as well. So as the trucks sort themselves out, we will await further news as to, first of all, whether any penalties will come going into that second race, whether indeed it's going to be a different race distance. So I think what we might do is take a short break for a few minutes, just let the dust settle, let the trucks return what's left of them to the pit lane, and let the race officials have a word with the drivers, and then we will go again. We have a 5-minute break before the formation laps. As I say, we'll have a very short break and get ready for the restart of race 2 here from the Slovakia ring.
At Goodyear, we understand the challenges of business. Your fleet is out on the road working hard, and you need tyres you can rely on. Tyres that are more innovative, more advanced, more versatile, and most importantly, better for business. Introducing the new K-Max and Fuel Max Gen 2 range. K-Max Gen 2. Superb mileage, optimal fuel efficiency, and better all-weather capability. Excellent mileage levels, significantly improved traction throughout the tyre life. And FuelMax Gen 2. Exceptional fuel efficiency, increased mileage, and better all-weather capability. Excellent fuel efficiency, significantly improved all-weather capability. Gen 2. More innovative, more advanced, better for business. Welcome to the next generation. The new K-Max and FuelMax Gen 2 range from Goodyear.
At home in Germany, on the go in the world. Every year, up to 20,000 vehicles drive from our depot in the Swabian town of Burtenbach out into the world.
Novum is our new fully revised trailer concept. Novum not only introduced the new external frames and body, but also the new optimally designed Kugel modular system with optimized uniform new modulus assemblies and components.
In the category concept, first place was awarded to Burtenbach.
Kugel's innovative Novum generation trailers have been awarded the International Industry Prize Trailer Innovation 2019 in the Supreme Discipline concept at IAA Commercial Vehicles.
Our mission is to move your freight, thereby making our contribution to your profitability, so that your cargo arrives quickly, safely, and efficiently. Today, tomorrow, always.
So we're ready to go racing again here. Pace truck blasts away. Let's remind ourselves of the grid. Antonio Albacete and Adam Nachko on the front row. Theo Calve and Bjorn Tyhouse on row 2. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the third row, shared with Jonathan Andre. Then it is Sasha Lenz and Norbert Kish ahead of Jamie Anderson and Shane Brereton, with Alia Koloc on her own on the back row of the grid. The red flag was really because of all the carnage, mayhem, and to give people a proper chance. With so many trucks off the road, it was decided to stop and start all over again. And Rolf Erner, the clerk of the course, trying to be fair to all of the drivers. Well, it certainly gives the likes of Norbert Kish and Theo Calve a get-out-of-jail-free card, because they were two drivers badly delayed, both off the road. Equally, that was at turn 1. By the time we got to turn 3, Antonio Albacete was virtually upside down, so it gave him another chance as well. So I think some of the drivers will be quite grateful. Others might be thinking, oh no, I had a chance there with Norbert Kish out of it. But hey, it's a complete reset for everybody, and let's see who comes out on top. It was 3 into 1 not going at turn 1 that really triggered all the drama. But lessons will have been learned from that, that is for sure. So there you've got Albafetti and Lachko on the front row of the grid, making their way up now towards turn 3, and over the little rise in the racetrack they go. There's Norbert Kish, Shane Brereton behind. So into turn 3 that takes you from the fast outside of the line, as it were, onto this paperclip style infield that's twisty, and it takes an awful lot of concentration for the drivers, as Norbert Kish was saying, not to make mistakes, not to be greedy with acceleration and run wide and risk losing places, losing time there. Pace truck is, of course, you know by now, the Mercedes Actros, everybody running on Goodyear rubber in the FIA ETRC and the ETRC Digital. And as the field comes through, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez sitting on that third row of the grid. He's going to look fairly threatening to all of this. Norbert Kish saying he tries to keep out of trouble. Well, it didn't really pay off for him in the aborted start because he was off the road in the boonies. Let's see what he can do now as we get set to go racing once more. There is Albafetti alongside Adam Lachko. Theo Calvé and Bjorn Tyhouse on the second row of the grid. Rodriguez in the blue and yellow Reb O'Connell livery, the MAN alongside there. Look, the Lion Truck Racing Team entry, Jonathan Andre. That's Norbert Kish starting on the fourth row alongside that man, Sasha Lenz. It was mayhem at the first start. What are we going to get second time around as the trucks come through the infield? The Slovakia ring circuit, which is one of the more modern tracks, but a popular one, and has hosted truck racing as well as touring cars, international single-seaters, GT races, and like everywhere, it's looking forward to opening its doors once again as the world unlocks. So there you've got the blue Mercedes Actros at the head of the pack. And Antonio Albafetti suggesting here, as he accelerates just to get himself ahead of Adam Lachko and then forces Adam to catch up, that he's showing intent, but he's going to have to be really good off the start and cover off that inside line, because that's where Rodriguez seems to be really good. He did it in race 1, did it again at the aborted start of race 2. So as they come down towards turn 13, is there going to be an opportunity for Rodriguez to gain further ground, or can Albafetti hang on to the race lead and keep Calvé at bay? Never mind Rodriguez. We are about to find out then as the trucks come towards us. Into the pit lane comes the pace truck. The Mercedes is in. And so now we will have the drivers getting themselves ready. There's the audible signal for the drivers given from race control to say green, you can race. And that will come when the race director is happy. Here they come then, under the gantry. Rolf Werner, the clerk of the course, will give the signal. Now we go green. Kish is on his toes. Look, he dives out of the pack. He goes to the outside line, and he's picking them off already. So they are, what, 4 wide down towards turn 1. Antonio Albafetti on the inside line. Theo Calvé is riding shotgun. Here comes Kish on the outside. Is he going to gain places? Lachko gets a tap in the tail from Tyhouse. That shovels him out of the way. It's not a good corner if you're on the outside line in a Freightliner, that, because it's a mirror of what we had in race 1 in a sense, with the Freightliner being elbowed out of the way. But Lenz, look, has made a good start. He's well clear of Kish already. So Albafetti leads. Second is Calvé. Third is Lenz. Fourth is Rodriguez. Fifth is Shane Brereton. Demon start by Shane. Sixth is Andre. Seventh is Kish. Eighth is Tyhouse. Where's Brereton off to? He's all over the gravel. He's back on the road. He's going to collect people if he's not careful. And that ripper start comes to naught, look, because he suddenly falls back with only Bjorn Tyhouse behind him. Albafetti hangs onto the race lead. Calvé right in the back of him. Third, as they come into turn 3, though, is Sasha Lenz. Through they turn. As one, then the leading trio. Where's Norbert Kish in all of this? He's on the prowl. He's up the inside of Jonathan Andre. Tries to make the move on the inside. Can't do it. Stays behind the French driver. So Albafetti it is. Who leads then? Trucks now make the run through the infield section. Look in the background. Where is Kish? He's on the prowl, no doubt about it. Lenz has gone wide. Rodriguez up the inside. Should go third. Lenz gets squeezed onto the curb and then onto the grass. And there is Rodriguez. He's gone through and he dives up the inside of Calvé into the back of Albafetti. And way out wide goes Rodriguez, and that's going to cost him dear. He will lose place after place. Lentz up the inside here. He's going to go for second place and will go through on the inside of Calvé. So Sasha Lentz benefiting from the zealotry of Rodriguez. But Calvé's on the prowl as well. Calvé on the attack, trying to retake second place on the inside into the corner here. But Lentz on the outside line. It's going to go deep into turn 10. That's the inside for 11 if he can hang on to the place. They squirm their way through the S's. Norbert Kish is up with Calvé and Andre, and he's going to split the two of them. Great driving by Norbert Kish. Look, he's third already coming out of the chicane. Fourth, it is Calvé. Fifth is Andre. And sixth, well, it was him, Jamie Anderson, but he's on the grass. Rodriguez is under investigation, incidentally, as the leader, Antonio Albafetti, heads towards us. Norbert Kish there is third. He's made better progress on that one than people probably feared. At the end of the opening lap of racing then, up towards the line they come, and it will be Antonio Albafetti in the lead. But Lentz needs to try to get past him and then get away before Kish catches up to him. Here they come, past the pits. One lap in the book here. Through they go. Albafetti lead, but only just. Lentz is second, then it's Kish, Calvé, Andre, Rodriguez, and then the rest. Lachko comes next, ahead of Anderson. Koloch doing a good job. 3, 4, 5 just about for the race lead as they go through turn 1 there. 0.3 of a second split the leaders. And Lentz now makes a move on the inside line as they head along the straight up towards turn 2. There's a chance on the inside line here to make the move. Does he make it stick? No, can't quite get up the inside line. So Albafetti hangs on to position, but only just. Also under investigation now is Alia Koloch. So race control is busy. So is Norbert Kish because he looks up the inside there of Sasha Lentz. Lentz defends to turn 3 here. Hard on the brakes. Norbert Kish looks to the inside, looks to the outside. Théo Calvé is right there behind, and Albafetti is the cork in the bottle. A drive-through penalty for Alia Koloch. Drive-through penalty then for the third of the Freightliners. And Sasha Lentz looks like he's got the pace to get past Albafetti, but needs to be careful that Norbert Kish doesn't mug him in the process. Norby is right on the back of the German driver there. Goes for the inside line. Easy peasy, through he goes, and Lentz gets all sideways, all crossed up. So Norbert Kish goes through. Théo Calvé now tries to get up the inside as well. Théo Calvé in the Freightliner goes to the inside of Sasha Lentz and wriggles his way up the inside. Kish gets tagged from behind and gets sideways. Is that Calvé's chance to challenge? It's Jonathan Andre's chance to challenge. Look, because he's alongside Calvé, who's alongside Lentz. And Andre's got the momentum. He's going to gain 2 spots out of all of that. Through he goes. Jonathan Andre up to third. Calvé fourth, and Sasha Lentz goes down to 5th place. This is not his race, is it? On board with Théo Calvé now. Outside line. Brakes hard. Brakes late. Can he cut across? No, he can't. Jonathan Andre is there. The Lion roars ahead. The Lion Truck Racing MAN. Why is it the Lion Truck Racing team? Because the team is based in Lyon. Out of turn 12 they come now. So we've got a penalty going the way of Alia Koloch. Is there anything else loitering in the system as the race officials have a look? They're on their toes. They have to be. They've got to be quick to make the penalties, if there are any, come within the now 15 minutes. That's what we have left. So there is Albafetti still leading the way, but Norbert Kish looks as though it won't be long before he goes through and asserts himself. But Albafetti having the best run of the championship thus far. Now, of course, in real world racing, Antonio knows exactly how to defend, exactly how to race. This is a different art, but you've got to have some of the basics, and Albafetti then will know exactly where to put the rig to cover off Norbert Kish. The problem is this is a fast and very wide section. Over the line they go. Down towards turn 1. Sasha Lentz in the meantime comes up to have a go on the inside at Théo Calvé. Look, but he can't go through. That was for 4th place. Andre closing on Kish. Calvé there ahead of Lentz, ahead of Rodriguez as they come through turn 1. Over the brow, and there in, 5th place, Sasha Lentz with work to do here to try to get himself onto the back of Théo Calvé, who in turn wants to be with Andre. But if the leaders hold each other up, there's a chance for Andre, Calvé, Lentz, and indeed Rodriguez to get up with them. This is Norbert Kish's view. Albafetti covers off the inside line. Kish right there with him. but then he drifts ever so slightly wide. Where in all of this is Jonathan Andre? Not close enough to make a move. 14 minutes and counting now. See the way the top three getting themselves together with Andre right there on the tail here now of the second place Norbert Kish rig. Now, Antonio Albafetti means business for this. He has been very busy on the sim in the last week or so. 719 laps were turned during training, so it's been put to good use, and he leads the way, and he's not for giving up. 587 training laps achieved by Sasha Lentz, and there he is in 4th place. Number 30 now is under investigation, and that's Lentz. So Sasha Lentz running 4th under investigation, and suddenly he's crawling all over the back look of Jonathan Andre. Calvé has fallen back behind Rodriguez, but Sasha Lentz on the attack. Also, Theo Calvé is under investigation. It's quicker if I tell you who isn't, I think, and that's probably just Norbert Kish at the moment, along with Antonio Albafetti. But the two race leaders fishtail their way here out of turn 12 over the brow. For the race lead, look, Kish going for Albafetti. Is he going to be able to dive up the inside going into turn 13? Antonio Albafetti turns in. Andre and Lentz, 3rd and 4th, are almost there as well as Kish tickles the back of Albafetti's truck. Antonio, massively experienced a racer, covers off the inside line, rides the curbs now. Heads up towards the line. Now look at Lentz, levelling almost with Andre, but Andre's got good speed here. And so Jonathan Andre tries to get up the inside of Norbert Kish. Can he do it? Not on grunt alone, he can't. But he might be able to brake late going into turn 1. Let's see. Again, he eyes up the inside line, but he's just not near enough. Lentz still there in 4th. Prime the outside line now. That's brave. That's a bold effort. Doesn't work. And what about 5th? It's still just Rodriguez ahead of Calvé behind there. Over the brow they come, down to turn 2 here. But Antonio Albafetti leads the way. Norbert Kish is having to work a bit harder this evening to find a race to win. Still probably the favourite, given the pace that he's had in earlier rounds. But right now, he's there in 2nd spot. 3rd still, that man, Jonathan Andre. Good debut in ETRC Digital for him. As into turn 3 goes Albafetti. Needs to brake late, but not too late, so that he goes out wide. Needs to get the power on, but not too soon, so that the back of the truck wags out. There's a hint of oversteer there as the power does kick in. Norbert Kish right there behind him, and Andre and Lentz need to work together if they can to get up with the race leaders here. .11 minutes to go as Norbert Kish once more looks for the inside line. Andre's closer all of a sudden, taking Lentz with him. Those two run through together here. So Antonio Albafetti leads the way. Norbert Kish could barely be closer, and Andre's gone wide. Lentz will be up the inside of him in the background. Look, to the curb goes Andre, skims the market tyres. Lentz goes through, Lentz goes 3rd. So Sasha Lentz, he's under investigation. So it might end up being a phony 3rd, but he's there at the moment. He's ahead of Jonathan Andre. Now, what is Rodriguez up to? He is 5th in the background, getting away from Theo Calvé. And there for the race lead, Norbert Kish challenging on the outside line here as they come into turn 10. But suddenly, Lentz is right there behind him, and Andre, and also Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in the blue Rebo Connaught entry. Over the brow come the race leaders. And they're almost being shoveled along, look, is Albafetti. Kish can't find a way past him, and he knows he needs to get on with this now before Lentz is right up behind him. Albafetti goes wide at turn 13. That leaves the door open for Kish. Albafetti will have the inside line for the King. He's got to try and regroup here. Suddenly, Norbert Kish looks like he's going to pounce. Let's see. That sets him up for the inside line into turn 1, but Albafetti is just ahead as they cross the line. He moves to the inside. He covers off the challenge of Kish. On the other side of the road, there is Lentz, there is Andre, there is Rodriguez, there is Calvé, and Norbert Kish can't find a way past Albafetti at the moment. 9 minutes and a lap to go. Again, Albafetti scrabbles down to turn 1. He's wide coming out of the corner. The door is open. This is Kish's chance. Surely it's going to work now. Cork in bottle. Pops and through goes Kish on the inside line. He's done it at long last, or has it? Albafetti on the outside line tries to stand his ground, but he can't do it. Norbert Kish goes through. Albafetti gets into the back of him, though, gives him a little tag. To the outside line goes Lentz. He will get clear real estate here down to turn 3. But Antonio Albafetti will break as late as he possibly can. But Norbert Kish covers the line, going into the hairpin. Albafetti is a little bit crossed up, and so Sasha Lentz on the outside line tries to strike. Andre right there in 4th, but while they're all squabbling like this, so Kish should be able to drive away. Boy, he's lucky they got a restart, because of course he was off the road and way down the order when he rejoined the pack, but now he's in the lead and he's pulling away from Albafetti, from Lentz, from Andre. 2nd, 3rd and 4th with 8 minutes and a lap to run. Through they turn here, and you can see as soon as he hits the front, as expected, Norbert Kish is away and gone. But great racing behind. Andre now getting roughed up a little bit as Rodriguez goes past him. Does he on the outside line? Yes, he does. Rodriguez batters into the back of Albafetti. Boom. Turns him sideways. That delays Lentz. Andre up the inside, then he gets all sideways as well. And that's just going to play into the hands of Norbert Kish, who will drive further away from them. Albafetti hangs on to 2nd place, does he? Yes, he does, yes, he does, yes, he does. Lentz on the outside, can't strike there. Over the brow. Now it's Calvé on the prowl. He goes to the inside line. Tries to squeeze up the inside and he can't do it. And for that, incidentally, Rodriguez is under investigation. Into turn 10, everybody trying to be second out of this battle pack. And it was Albafetti ahead. He gets forced out wide, mows the lawn a little bit, hits the grass there, but he's still second ahead of Lentz. Then it is Rodriguez, then Calvé, and Andre, the big loser. He falls back into 6th place now. So Albafetti just hanging on to that 2nd place. Lentz to the outside line here. Through they turn, with Rodriguez 4th, then Calvé, then Andre. But Albafetti hanging on to 2nd position. But look at the way that Norbert Kish, having got the race lead, what, 2/3 of a lap ago, just checked out. Look, I know they've been squabbling and delaying themselves, but Kish is in a class of his own, isn't he? He is miles clear. Over the line he goes. Albafetti 2nd. 3rd, it is Sasha Lentz, and the lead gap already is 3.8 seconds. That's mighty. Albafetti leaves the door ajar going into turn 1. Sasha Lentz tries to get up the inside line. So now Lentz under attack from Rodriguez. Over the brow they come. That's Albafetti. Even though he's not going to be the race winner, he is still set to have his best result of the championship campaign thus far. There is Lentz. And to the inside tries to go Rodriguez, and he gets a tap in the back from Calvé, and Jonathan Andre hung out to dry on the outside line. There is Calvé, just 5 minutes and a lap still to go here. Turning their way through the infield part of the circuit once again, but Norbert Kish no longer in shot. So far ahead is he? Place gained by Lentz on Albafetti. Door opens for Rodriguez as well. Up the inside line he should go, does go. Does he gain a place? Yep, he does. So Lentz goes 2nd, Rodriguez goes 3rd. He comes out on top of that Iberian battle, the Portuguese driver ahead of Spaniard Albafetti now. There he is on Lentz as well. So both of those drivers under investigation. There's a sideways Andre in the background because Calvé and Andre have both got past Albafetti. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Suddenly, the floodgates have opened and they've all come past Antonio. He's dropping down the order once more. Good early pace, now not being maintained. And is Albafetti going to be caught by Jamie Anderson before the end of the race? Jamie is next up, he's 7th, and Adam Lachko is 8th. And there, look, Calvé versus Andre. This is Formula France, in a sense. The two French drivers running together, Andre ahead. So Jonathan Andre has done a good job, actually, of recovering from earlier delays here. Comes over the brow. And as soon as he hits the position, just able, ever so slightly, to gap the Freightliner behind him of Theo Calvé. Albafetti fighting back, goes ahead of Calvé now as well, and Jamie Anderson is almost up with them. Albafetti runs wide, Calvé back on the inside line, 4 minutes and a lap to go. This could be anybody's. Way out clear is Norbert Kish going over the timing line, but now Lentz up into second place, chasing after him. Let's see whether the gap's going to go up or whether it's going to come down. There is the fight between Calvé and Albafetti, and the gap is down. It's 1.9 seconds, Kish to Lentz. So it was 3.8 over Albafetti. In the space of a lap, we've had a new driver up into second, and Lentz is going for it. He's sideways out of turn one, but he's going for it, no question. Back from Sasha Lentz's MAN, similar rig behind in the hands there. Look at Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Galero deflectors on the front. These are, of course, these days effectively big touring cars. Gone are the early days of truck racing when they were working rigs with very soft suspension, with hardly any real race essence in them. And nowadays, very technical beasts indeed. Less roll in them. There's still a little bit of roll, but far less than there was in the early days of effectively road-going rigs. But the sport, even though it's evolved, has maintained that spectacular element, and it maintained the great characters. And one of them, a real underdog, a real crowd favourite, is that man Sasha Lentz. He runs in second place. Behind him, you've got Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, and he, like many, Lentz is another example of it. So too, Theo Calvé, with a long-standing family involvement in the sport. So there is Rodriguez then. Now 2 minutes plus a lap. They are going to finish off the next one within the time, I think. So there's this and 2 more laps to go, provisionally. No further action taken against Lentz nor Calvé. So that's what race control says, having looked at incidents. There is Kish versus Lentz. Lentz taking Rodriguez with him. So again, as we saw in race 1, Norbert Kish leads from Lentz, but he's not out of the woods. There is Albafetti under attack from Anderson now, and that is for 6th place. Through turn 10, they turn over the brow. Albafetti still coming under attack from Jamie Anderson, the former rallyman, up against the massively experienced Antonio Albafetti. There's not much Antonio hasn't raced, apart from Formula 1 over his time. And there is Jamie Anderson to the outside line of the T-Sport Bear now entry. Albafetti's going to go wide. There's the gap on the inside. Jamie Anderson tries to get up alongside him. Albafetti tries to close the door. Bit of leaning, bit of rubbing inevitably, but Antonio staves off the attack. Through turn 1 goes Kish, Lentz and Rodriguez, and the gap is up slightly, just 1.3 at the timing line, 1.2 down towards the first corner. And you can see how it changes around the lap as the real-time data is there. Now Albafetti versus Anderson, 6th and 7th. They are a long way clear of Adam Lachko. Remember, he got roughed up early doors in the race, but he did start on the front row of the grid. We will have 1 more lap to go at the end of this, because the clock will hit 0 around this lap. They've done 8. Through turns there, the number 2 rig of Antonio Albafetti. Again, Anderson all over the back of the similar MAN, but British Championship graduate Jamie Anderson with the self-run truck right there behind Antonio Albafetti. And in real-world racing, of course, Jamie is somebody that's been getting faster and faster the more truck racing experience is gained. Jamie Anderson then closing up onto the tail of Albafetti. So 1 more lap to run at the end of this. There is Rodriguez in 3rd place. Now what can he do about Sasha Lentz? He's done it already, in fact. He's gone by, so he's ahead of Lentz. He's up into 2nd spot, and that means that Lentz drops to 3rd and is under attack from Jonathan Andre all of a sudden. So Sasha Lentz not only loses 2nd place, but he loses chunks of time. Norbert Kish is away and gone. So there you've got the new 2nd place driver Rodriguez, behind him 3rd and 4th. Lentz versus Andre. Where is Calvé? A little bit distant in fifth. He's not going to gain anything, I don't feel, now before the end of the race. We've also got here Jamie Anderson trying to fight back on the inside line. Bjorn Teichhaus shown as being ahead of him at the moment, and there they are together, look, side by side. So Albafetti has stormed away, and Teichhaus runs up alongside Anderson over the brow, down towards turn 13. Look right, you'll see the start and finish line, the leaders coming towards you, but down to turn 13, there goes Norbert Kish through. And to the inside line now dives. Jamie Anderson breaks as late as he dares. That's going to run Teichhaus out wide, and so Jamie Anderson should be able to go through on the inside and gain the place. He does so, but then he bounces wide, but Teichhaus, I don't think, has got the pace to come up alongside him there. Albafetti comes through over the timing line, still on target 6th. Jamie Anderson going through 7th, and Bjorn Teichhaus is there in 8th place. Lachko and Brereton are rounding out the point scorers right now. Side by side for 7th. Teichhaus up the inside. The Irving Klein-Nagelvort Scania goes ahead on this, the last lap. But right now, Norbert Kish is way clear of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Sasha Lentz having dropped back into 3rd. There is Norbert Kish. Down towards turn 3 he comes. And Norbert Kish is set for win number 6 out of 6 races. 3 poles out of the Super Pole qualifying sessions, and a race winner every time out. It's impressive, you've got to say. Rodriguez is being given a 30-second penalty for pushing. So Rodriguez there is 2nd on the road. Now, his conduct was under scrutiny by the officials, and he's copped a penalty. So it's going to be interesting to see the backstory to all of this, the continuation of the story. He's got Lentz crawling all over the back of him, but 30 seconds is going to drop him to probably 10th place, looking at the gaps between people right now. So here is Rodriguez. Look back from him. Lentz is in 2nd place because of the penalty, and Andre is going to be good to be 3rd. It's going to be the same top 3 as we had in race 1, isn't it? Because of the correcting time. But Rodriguez will be mightily frustrated about yet another penalty. On board with Rodriguez. The message will have got through to him by now, and he will be very unhappy indeed. Kish cares not, though. He is on target for win number 6. There in the background is Jonathan Andre. It'll be interesting to see whether we have Jonathan continuing or Anthony Janiak in future rounds, because both have proved to be very competitive. Jonathan Andre, the team manager, guesting in the absence of Anthony Janiak, and he's going to be on the podium. In fact, he might even make a move against the Team Löwenpower entry of Lentz before the very end, because Sasha's a bit stuck now behind Rodriguez. He's going to inherit 2nd place, but he'd like to do it on the track if he can. But Norbert Kish, in the meantime, is about to accelerate his way up toward the timing line. Checkered flag is shown, and Norbert Kish wins race 2 here at the Slovakia Ring. 2nd across the line is Rodriguez, but where will that penalty drop him to as Norbert Kish celebrates? Sasha Lentz is going to take 2nd. 3rd will be Jonathan Andre. Up to 4th will go Teo Calvé. Up to 5th in the end will be Albafetti. 6th is going to be Bjorn Teichhaus. 7th will be Jamie Anderson. And we wait for Adam Lachko to come through, and I'm looking at all the gaps in all of this just to see where. There is Lachko going by, where Rodriguez 30 seconds. It's going to drop him 2. It's going to put him behind Lachko and ahead of Shane Brereton. So 9th for Rodriguez. There in 10th place is Shane Brereton, and it's going to be 11th place to Alia Koloc. So that's the order provisionally as they come across the line. But of course there's also the suspended 1 race ban for the Portuguese driver Jose Eduardo Rodriguez to factor into all of this as well. So Norbert Kish has done it again. Surprise, surprise. But that restart certainly helped him. In a moment we'll try and drag Norby. There he is, you can see, making the truck sideways. Try and drag him into the English Channel. So just as you would in the real world when you've taken a race win, celebrate on your slowing down lap. There he is, getting it ever so sideways. Concentration on the face, even to do that, not make a mistake. Enjoying every minute of it. So Norbert Kish, the race winner, 6 out of 6. And we'll have a word with Norbert hopefully in a moment with a great result. So let's have a word, as I say, with Norbert Kish. He's ready for us. And Norbert Kish, you've done it again, Norbert, 6 out of 6. But that red flag helped you, didn't it? Because at one stage you were off in the gravel.
Oh yeah, it helped me big time. Thank you, because I was really unlucky at the first start. I had a big push, and it was really hard to get out of the gravel, so I fall behind quite a lot. So as much as I was unlucky in the first start, I was much more lucky in the second, and you know, everything was just going my way. You know, everybody was making mistakes. I was looking forward to a fight with Sasha, but then he made a mistake going wide, and then it was a really easy overtake for me, really lucky. And then Antonio was a little bit harder to crack, but finally on the exit of the first turn, I could overtake him. And then, yeah, people just started going 3 wide behind me, you know, and that slowed them down quite a lot, you know, so that made my job very easy.
You're probably one of the most experienced sim drivers, certainly against the likes of Adam or Antonio, but are you noticing with each race that the other guys are getting more experience, they're getting better on the sim? You know, that, like you say, Antonio was hard to crack. Are you noticing that they're improving in their driving on a sim?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, everybody's improving quite a lot. You can see the lap times. We even have, you know, this practice server on the weekdays where you can go and practice, and then we can see each other lap times, what is everybody's doing. You can even see a little bit of telemetry data, you know, the speed of what everybody's doing in which turn. And I guess that helps quite a lot. And yeah, people are getting closer. And also in the race, you know, people are defending really well. They have a really nice you know, awareness, you know, that what's going on around them. And, you know, really the feeling is basically the same when we are doing, you know, the real races, you know, and the circuits are quite good. And I can see people defending, you know, the same way like we were experiencing last year on the circuit and everything, you know. So it's actually really a good feeling to go sim racing with these guys, you know, because even if you don't have the name and the color of the racetrack, you could recognize each guy, you know, about the driving style. So it's very nice.
Well, it's 6 out of 6. There's no stopping you at the moment. Massive lead in the championship. Unstoppable. Well done, Norbert Kish. Yet another win.
Thank you very much.
So Norbert Kish then our second race winner of the evening. And let's have a word with Antonio Alberthetti. He was the man that started on pole position. Norbert Kish, Sasha Lentz and Jonathan Andre for the podium. But Antonio Alberthetti for 5th place. That was a tough race, Antonio.
Yeah, it was a tough race. Yeah, I mean, I do what I can, you know. I mean, it's very difficult. This is very difficult. Sometimes I manage to do a very good lap, but then I have to be very, very careful, because if not, it's very easy to make a mistake and to go off, you know. So I have to be very, very careful. I am not able at the moment to do it better, you know. I will try to practice a little bit more, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Yeah, sure. But I think it was good. I hope that the fans were watching the race, they are happy, you know. I hope so.
It was certainly good racing to watch. And you're talking about practicing. You did something like over 700 laps of practice for Slovakia Ring. So you're taking this seriously.
No. I don't think so. I don't think I did 700 laps. I think probably between the 3 circuits, but not only in Slovakia, you know. I don't think so. I mean, for me, it's too much laps, you know. I mean, I practice, but I don't think I practice that much, you know. So, no, yeah, you have to practice. But I also think that depends also on the machine that you have, you know. Probably if you have a different
steering wheel or whatever, maybe you can have a different feeling for the track, you know, because I changed some things on the setups, and sometimes I feel nothing, you know, I didn't feel any change, you know, so it's very difficult, I'll tell you. I prefer real racing. I hope we start racing real soon.
Which almost makes the next question irrelevant, but are you enjoying sim racing bit by bit?
Well, I mean, I enjoy it but sometimes we have, as in the first start, many crashes, you know, I mean, but we it carefully, because I think that the races are quite good, and if we do it like in real racing, I think we can have a good races like we have now this last race, you know. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, but I tell you, for me, it's very difficult.
Well, let's see what happens at the Nurburgring.
I mean, at the moment it's hot here in Spain, but I am sweating like if I was in the real track, you know.
Antonio, well done. Congratulations.
Okay,
we will
thank you very
look
much.
forward to maybe a podium finish, a top 3.
I hope. I hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Antonio Albacete, then, will be a great character, a hugely experienced driver, track racing champion. As just to confirm our podium, Norbert Kish is our race winner, Sasha Lentz taking 2nd, and Jonathan Andre 3rd, with the penalty being applied to Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Well, we knew it was going to be a night of action, and it has been yet again a fantastic evening of racing. Yes, the story is Norbert Kish takes 2 more race wins, but perhaps the real story is that the gap is closing between him and the opposition. It is Nürburgring that we will go to as our next stop in just a week's time. We'll see you there. For now, it's farewell. But first, let's have a quick look at some of the highlights of this evening's racing from the Slovakia ring. Advantage early on in race 2. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez was, as ever, feisty, forced away through on the inside, delayed himself and was able to fight back for 2nd on the road before a penalty. Eventually, Albacete had Norbert Kish get up onto his tail. There was Lentz, there was Calvé behind as well. Even Kish got tagged sideways at one stage. It wasn't long before he was eyeing up a move against Antonio Albacete. Antonio did his level best to hang on in there, trying to cover off every possible line, every possible move. But the irresistible Norbert Kish was always going to come by. He lined up right on the tail of Albacete going down towards turn 1. And although there wasn't a gap there, what would happen is that Antonio made a small error and ran deep out of the corner, allowing Norbert Kish to get up on the inside. Once Kish was through, so Albacete got the way down the order, busy battling, and was able to force his way as best he could with this fight with Theo Calvé. Good fight between Bjorn Kleihaus and Jamie Anderson as well. So, great racing in the reverse grid race. As I say, the Nürburgring is our stop in just a week's time. Is it going to be 8 from 8 for Norbert Kish? Well, we'll find out. Join us, same time, same place. Next week, we'll be off to the Nürburgring for our 4th weekend of the FIA ETRC Digital. For now, from David Addison. Thanks for your company. Goodbye.